The story I have for today, it's a tricky one. So let's see if I'm able to explain it properly. The Town That Dreaded Sundown. It's a film from 1976 that is loosely based on the Texarkana Moonlight Murders. But then, in 2014, they released a second slasher film with the same name, based more or less in the same events. So this second film is a meta sequel to the first one. So that means that the first film, it's inspired on the murders, and the second film acknowledges the real life murders and the first film, and then it happens after. Does that make sense? Both films really worth watching. The Texarkana Moonlight Murders were some horrific murders that happened in the small town of Texarkana in early 1946. The killings were attributed to a serial killer called the Phantom Killer. The Phantom Killer was described as wearing a white mask with holes cut out for his eyes and mouth, and this was a description that two of his victims that survived gave to the police. He began his killings on the 22nd of February 1946, and they extended over a 10-week period until May the 3rd. His victims were all couples that were on secluded roads or areas at night, kind of like looking for some romantic moment of intimacy. And the killer would take that advantage of being on an isolated spot to commit the killings. Though on one occasion he changed his modus operandi and he just broke into the couple's house and murdered them on the spot. Most of his victims were shot in the back of the head, as in like execution style, and he would rape the girl whenever he could before killing her. He always attacked on the weekends, very organized, late at night, and with 3 to 4 weeks in between killings. He killed a total of 5 people and left another 3 really badly injured. So after a few dead bodies, the whole town went into panic. There would be nobody on the street just before sundown. The locals began boarding up their windows. They put heavy locks on the doors, and obviously all the guns were sold out. The police put a curfew in place, so literally the whole town was like a ghost town until the sun came up the next morning. At some point the Texas Rangers came to help with the investigation. However, they were never able to identify the killer. They tried a few things. They posted a reward if anybody could give them any solid leads, but nothing was coming up. They tried to trick the Phantom by using teenagers as bait. So what they did was they would put a couple of teenagers in a car in an isolated place, and then the whole police would be around watching, just waiting for the Phantom to show up. But obviously, being a good serial killer, the Phantom never took bait. There were indeed several suspects during the investigation. The main one was a man called Joel Sweeney. They got Sweeney because he was trying to sell a stolen car, so they arrested him for that. And at that point, his wife just told the police that she thought he was the Phantom Killer. So the police took this very seriously, obviously, and they investigated on that lead. However, nothing solid came up, and later on the wife wouldn't give an official statement accusing her husband, so they just couldn't charge him for the murders. They did charge him for the stolen cars though. Not the same, is it? The investigation went on, but 3 months after the last killing, the Texas Rangers just left the town. They thought that by doing that, maybe the Phantom would relax and kill again, but he didn't. Just like that, he just vanished. This means that the case remains one of the most notorious cases that are still unsolved in US history. Obviously, this means that there's still a lot of speculation as to who was the killer and what happened with them. There's some police officers that are convinced that Sweeney was the killer, but because there's no solid evidence and nothing came up, the case is still a mystery. There was though a lot of people, at least like 9 people, who came forward to the police actually confessing the crimes, like saying that they were the killers. But again, it was just people that wanted either the fame or were a bit disturbed, or just who knows why people would confess to murders they didn't commit, but none of them were the actual killer. And yeah, we still don't know who he was or what happened to him. So like I said at the beginning, the first film is more inspired in these real life events. However, obviously the names are changed, some dates are different, and some ways of portraying the killings are different as well. And the second film, because it takes place after the killings, even though it's like really connected to them, the plot just goes into a different direction and it's more towards finding another killer, if that makes any sense. I just don't want to say too much about the film, so I don't want to give it away. And yeah, as a last fun fact, in Texarkana nowadays they have this tradition of screening the original film, The Town That Dreaded Sundown, in this like film event that they do every year around Halloween time. It's the last film they do on the days of the screening, and I think it's a nice tradition. So yeah, this is the end of this story. Again, let me know if you liked it. I've got a couple more coming, so I'm hoping that you're not getting too bored of me talking in this weird accent that I have. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll be back with more real life horror movies.